OpenAI is putting on maybe the greatest show in all of tech right now. It's this absolutely chaotic, high wire act, and there is no safety net. I mean, on one hand, they're pushing out these world changing tools at a speed that is just dizzying. But on the other, they're juggling massive lawsuits, some pretty embarrassing PR nightmares, and a cash burn rate that would honestly make a small country blush. It's this wild mix of genius and total chaos that really defines them at this moment.
And this slide, this really gets to the core of the whole thing. We are watching the fastest growing business platform in history. It's a true rocket ship. And at the exact same time, the company is reportedly just lighting billions of dollars on fire every couple of months. So how on earth can both of those things be true? Well, that's the paradox we're going to unpack.
So let's start with the good stuff, the brilliant side of this equation, the actual innovation. Because for all the drama and all the noise, you have to admit, OpenAI is still pushing the boundaries of what is even possible, and they're doing it at a pace that is just relentless.
Okay, so first up is this feature they're quietly working on called Group Chats. Now, the idea itself sounds simple, but it is super powerful. You can have multiple people all jump into the same ChatGPT conversation, all talking with each other and with the AI in this one shared space. This thing has the potential to completely change how teams work together.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this stacks up against what's already out there. I mean, Microsoft's Copilot has shared sessions, sure, but what OpenAI is building seems to be in a whole different league. We're talking about being able to customize the AI's core personality, telling it exactly when it should speak up, and even dialing its presence up or down. That's surgical level control. But they are not stopping with just making your office life easier. No. In a huge and honestly a really gutsy move, OpenAI is jumping into a completely new arena, healthcare. They are reportedly building a consumer AI health assistant, which means they're wading into the exact same treacherous waters where giants like Google and Amazon have famously sunk. And this shows they're not just winging it, right? They've made some really smart strategic hires. They brought in the co-founder of the doctor network Doximity and a former product exec from Instagram. Plus, they've seen the data. A huge number of ChatGPT's 800 million weekly users are already asking it for health advice. So maybe, just maybe, their timing is perfect. All right, let's flip the coin and talk about the other side of this story. Because for every brilliant move, there seems to be an equally spectacular headache. We're talking landmark legal fights and some truly cringeworthy public mistakes. And this is a big one. A court over in Germany just handed OpenAI a pretty stinging legal defeat. They ruled the company broke copyright law by training its models on song lyrics without asking for permission and, without paying for them. This lawsuit came from Germany's big music rights group GEMAR, and believe me, the fallout from this is going to be huge. So the whole legal fight boils down to what you see here. OpenAI's argument is, hey, our models don't store the text. They just learn abstract patterns from it. But the court, well, they weren't buying it. Their ruling basically said, look, since the lyrics are copied internally to train the AI and can then be spit back out externally to a user, the artists need to get paid. This sets a massive precedent for all of Europe. And as if a huge legal loss wasn't bad enough, the company's own chief financial officer somehow managed to create a massive PR firestorm. This quote from a critic, it just perfectly sums up how people reacted. It captures the sheer absurdity of a company this valuable, even whispering about needing a public bailout. And here's the number that caused all the outrage. The CFO suggested that maybe the U.S. government should help guarantee the company's future spending on infrastructure, a shopping spree that could eventually top out at a mind-bending $1.4 trillion. The public backlash was, let's just say it was swift. The blowback got so bad that the CEO, Sam Altman himself, had to jump in and basically play firefighter. He was crystal clear. He said, if OpenAI fails, it should fail. That's how capitalism works. No bailouts. It was a really blunt and very necessary message to make it clear that no, the company is not asking taxpayers for a safety net. Which brings us right back to the financial heart of this entire story. This is where that paradox we talked about, that explosive growth versus those eye-watering costs, really comes into focus. I mean, how do you fuel a revolution when the fuel itself costs billions of dollars? So let's start with the growth, because it is truly off the charts. OpenAI just announced it has over 1 million business customers. Just let that sink in for a second. That officially makes it the fastest growing business platform in history. And we're talking heavy hitters here, like Cisco, Morgan Stanley, and Target. They're all on board.
And it gets even crazier. They now have over 7 million paid seats for ChatGPT for work. That number grew by 40% in just 2 months. It's actually a brilliant adoption strategy when you think about it. People start using it for free, they fall in love with it, and then they bring it into their company. The return on investment for businesses is almost instant. But, and you knew there was a bet coming, right? Fueling that kind of incredible growth, especially with the most advanced AI models on the entire planet, well, it is astronomically expensive. And this just puts the scale of the problem into perspective. Take Sora, their absolutely jaw-dropping video generation AI. According to some reports, just keeping that one model up and running could be costing the company around $15 million every single day. The cost of computing is just, it's staggering. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. This is a direct quote from Bill Peebles, who is Sora's own lead developer. So when the guy who literally built the thing tells you the economics are unsustainable, you know you've got a pretty serious problem. It's that classic Silicon Valley playbook, right? Achieve world domination first, and then maybe figure out how to make a profit later. All this chaos and this insane spending at OpenAI, it creates a really fascinating contrast with their main rival, Anthropic. Because Anthropic is taking a completely different and much, much quieter path to building its own empire. This table right here, it tells the entire story. Anthropic thinks it's going to break even by 2028. That's 2 full years before OpenAI even hopes to be profitable. And just look at that 2028 forecast. Anthropic is projecting $70 billion in revenue, while OpenAI is projected to have racked up $74 billion in losses. The difference in strategy couldn't be more stark. So what it really boils down to is that Anthropic's strategy is just, well, it's leaner. They're scaling up quietly. They're focused on winning over big business clients who see their model, Claude, as a more stable, more efficient choice. No flashy product launches, no billion-dollar video toys, just steady, deliberate, business-first growth. Which, of course, leaves us with the billion-dollar, or I guess maybe the trillion-dollar question. Is OpenAI's frantic, high-wire act a stroke of absolute genius that's going to lock in their dominance for a generation? Or is it a reckless gamble, a prelude to what could be the most spectacular flameout in the history of technology? Right now, the answer is still being written.